Hello and welcome back to the podcast that also dresses up like the opposite sex to escape legal proceedings. Welcome back to the best part of your week. Welcome back to another episode of the Love, Death and Movies podcast, internet's #1 film breakdown and review show, the show that crushes watch lists week after week. Every month is a different genre. Every week is a different film in that genre. So faults and everything, John is the right. Let's watch some movies. Perfect. I'm Harry. With me, of course, every single week, Pride of the West Coast, Ash Does Movies, and from New Zealand, notorious Byron. How are we, guys?
We're good.
We're good. We're ready. We're good.
Very swell.
That's awesome. So we're entering week 2 into Nostalgia November. We're doing that with the early 90s classic, which is Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello! I'm going to be saying that multiple times throughout this entire... It's so good. I love this movie so much. But before we get into that, guys, how's your week? Byron, we haven't seen you for a few weeks. How you doing?
Yeah, unfortunately, I missed last week due to some issues.
That sounds so suspicious without context.
I'm not going to give you context.
Okay.
But no, I'm good. I've had a couple weeks of good sport. Nice couple UFC cards, except 308, which let's not talk about because it was pretty sad towards the end of it. But yeah, it's been good. We're recording this in the middle of the week, so I'm just kind of anticipating the next few weeks for the same reason. Sport is awesome. There's literally like UFC every week, which is good. 309's in 2 weeks there.
I know.
Hell yeah, bro.
Bones Jones.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Unfortunately,
Who?
not even no Kiwis either.
Yeah. Wait, what do you think I said?
There's no Australians on there?
No, I said John Bones Jones.
Oh, is that what you... Oh.
That's all. Yeah. Byron's going insane.
Oh, bro, I don't know what the fuck.
You're like, I don't think so. I'm like, you think Stipe's gonna win?
God, no.
Okay.
No, he's a freebie. I should make people pay for my picks, honestly, because I'm typically right. Jones' subs are within 2.
Yeah. Nice.
But anyway, yeah, I got a stag do next week, so that's exciting. But yeah, it's been a pretty good week. I've done a couple gardens, couple lawns, some firewood. It's been pretty nice over the last 7-8 days.
Ash, do you call it lawn over there? Because I call it lawn in Australia. Do you call it more like yard?
Yard. What?
I mean, if I'm referring to my backyard, I'll say backyard. If I'm talking about the grass, I'll say the lawn. But you don't call your entire yard the lawn.
Okay, well, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, but
there's more than just the grass there, though. There's like a whole...
I mean, I would call it, out the back, I would call it like I would say back lawn or backyard.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
But yeah, it's...
I just want to keep Americans in check, because there's some crazy shit happening over there.
The ice chest is the only slang word that I've really been... Oh.
Yeah, well,
I'm not going to be bullied on my own
podcast.
podcast.
Crazy.
Okay?
Ice chest is crazy.
Yeah, call it sidewalk. Jesus. Ash, how are you? How's your week?
Well, now that I've been bullied for the last 30 seconds.
It's not you. You just represent a country. It's just what you... we're not bullying you. We're bullying what you represent.
Yeah. Bullying the country you're from.
Yeah, it was a good week. I don't know. It's only Tuesday for me, so I don't really know if you're talking about this week. It just started. Today's not a good day. It's election day. I'm anxious as hell, so we're not going to get into that. But last week, this weekend, I watched all the Lord of the Rings movies, and that was amazing. Recommend it. I wasn't sober. Also recommend that. Makes the experience even better. But yeah, that's pretty much my week, was just hanging out and then binging those movies. And then I go back to work in a week from today. Boo. So.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah. Just living it up for the last week here of my...
But hey, a week's a long time.
It is, but when you've been off for almost 8 weeks, it feels like it's really creeping up close.
Yeah, for sure. So. Do you have any plans for your last week off?
Just have as much fun as I can.
I fucking love that.
Without really being able to leave the house. So.
That's hilarious. That's awesome. Nice. Yeah, my week's been really good. Crazy with work, but now I've got a week off. I'm about to go to a friend's wedding. I'm emceeing it. I don't know who decided that was a good idea. So good luck to me. So that'll be good fun. I went and saw a bunch of movies over the weekend. I did a triple feature. My movie theater over Halloween was doing like a lot of retro stuff, of course. But I did a triple feature. I did Paris, Texas, which isn't horror, of course, but that's one of the greatest first watches I've ever seen. That movie might have changed my life. Like, that movie's
Nice.
spectacular. I watched The Sixth Sense. Brilliant movie. Just so
Banger.
good. Even when you know the twist.
Banger.
Like, brilliant. And by the way, my letterbox review of Sixth Sense is brilliant. Can we just give Tony a fucking break? And then late that night, I went and saw Blair Witch Project. Seen it many times. Love that movie. The movie's fantastic. I took my mate who'd never seen it before, and like he was going in. He's just like, I'm like, what are you expecting? He's like, I think it's just gonna be like Paranormal Activity, just jump scares everywhere. I'm like, it's not that. It's not that at all. There's like no jump scares at all in that film, and I think that's so perfect. It's just such use of tension. And then the next day, I saw it at the cinema, but I'd never seen it before. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Movie fucks. Movie's great. Great movie. But yeah, so those are my main watches during the week. But yeah, literally just been working, and the new COD came out, so I've just been playing a lot of that. Played with our boy Seth reviews. He, dwarfed him on the KD leaderboard. Is, when you wake up a king, you're gonna wear the crown. You know what I mean? But yeah, other than that, it's been a pretty good week. But we'll talk about our weeks later, I guess. I don't know. What a weird segue. Anyway, this week we're talking about Mrs. Doubtfire, which came out in 1993, directed by Christopher Columbus, which I completely forgot that he directed this. What a filmography this bloke has. Like, from Harry Potter to Home Alone to... Wasn't he in Goonies? Did he do Goonies? He at least wrote Goonies, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah. But he definitely directed Mrs. Doubtfire. And quick synopsis is... She makes dinner, she does windows, she reads bedtime stories. She's a blessing in disguise. Loving but irresponsible dad, Daniel, estranged from his exasperated spouse, is crushed by a court order allowing only weekly visits with his kids. When Daniel learns his ex needs a housekeeper, he gets the job, disguised as a British nanny. Soon, he becomes not only his children's best pal, but kind of the parent he should have been from the start. So, guys... Mrs. Doubtfire, Byron, this is your first watch of Mrs. Doubtfire, which to me is crazy. So, what do you think of Mrs. Doubtfire?
I mean, yeah, this is nostalgia month for us, and I was the age of negative. So, yeah, no correlation to this movie at all. Never seen it before. Never looked into it before. Didn't even know it was Robin Williams. Didn't know Sally Fields was in this movie. I literally knew nothing about this movie.
What a way to start, Mrs.
And
Doubtfire.
I'm gonna kind of insult it. Without this podcast, probably would have never watched it.
That's crazy.
Well,
you're welcome.
But I liked the movie. In the end, I thought it was pretty fun, although it is a comedy, and I didn't find it overly funny. I still thought there are a lot of parts in here that were really well done and came off as pretty humorous. Robin Williams is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, he was
in this
truly
movie.
Brilliant, wasn't he?
Coming from someone that isn't like necessarily that big a fan of Robin Williams' work, I've only seen a couple of his movies that I rate like really, really good. But this is one of the best characters I think I've ever seen him pull off. I think it was unique. I think it was fun. I think it was humorous, and yeah, I had a pretty decent time with the first watch of it. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, Ash.
Yeah, kind of the opposite. I mean, this movie has been in my life for a long time. I had the VHS of this movie when I was a kid.
What's that?
I would say this was like a early comfort movie for me. I think I shared this with you, Harry. I still watch it like when I go on a plane. So if it's like over like an hour flight, it's like a 2-hour long movie. I watch it on every flight. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
2 hours, 5 minutes, 14 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. Exact number. Well, yeah. So if it's a flight where I'm, chilling for a few hours, I watch it. And for me, it's literally just like that comfort. So I think I suggested this movie, and that's why it's just something that to me is so much deeper than what it is on the surface. Obviously, like you have a lot of discussion of divorce and broken family and what that really like the reality of what that looks like. obviously they kind of pull like the court system into it, and they have a lot of like adult fights, things that really a kid shouldn't be maybe watching. But I've been watching this movie since I was 7, 8. I can't even remember when I first saw it. But yeah, for me, there's something comforting in it because I don't know, I spent a lot of time alone as a kid, and I just feel like there's something where you can get the perspective from the kids, but then like now watching it like as an adult over these last years, you really just like feel for all the characters, even though Daniel is so problematic and so frustrating at times. You see how unserious like he takes life, and he learns the consequences of that, like the consequences of always being the funny guy or always wanting to be like the cool parent or make everyone laugh. Like that's a great thing, but it has consequences. And then I think also like the mom learns that her kind of method also has so it's just like, I don't know, there's a lot of learning to be had for everyone involved. And so I think it's more than just like a kids movie, which on the surface it kind of was marketed that way. I feel like, I don't know, that's just my opinion, but Chris Columbus directed it. The posters are very like fun and like there's kids on them, so it's kind of marketed as a kids movie.
Definitely marketed as a kids movie.
But it's really not. There's just so much more to like absorb here. But it's also so funny. Like I'm kind of the opposite of Byron. I laugh a lot watching this, even still after like 35, 40 watches. I think some of the one-liners are so creative. They're so Robin Williams. Like I'm sure he improv'd a lot. I just don't think that there's another comedian quite like him. I'm not saying he's the funniest person to ever like exist on the earth, but he might be up there. I mean, he's definitely just unique in his comedy, and I've always loved him. So this movie for me is just sort of, I don't know, it's just like that comfort, yet you get the reality of like what this type of thing does to a family, which I think is important to see when you're young and also when you're older.
Nice. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I think I'm way more on Ash's side. I grew up with this movie. Like this is like one of my mum's favorite movies. So like whenever I was like sick or anything or sad, I'd always be watching Mrs. Doubtfire, and it's I find this movie just such a classic. I even just today I found this movie hilarious, and it's all because of Robin Williams. Majority of this film, of his lines, his scenes are all improv. Like Chris Columbus put like 7 cameras on him at once because he had no idea where he was going to go in the scene and what he was going to say. So like, and they like did like each scene had like probably 10 to 15 different takes, and each take was completely different, which is just such a testament to how good Robin Williams was. But I agree with you, Byron. I think this is his best role. Probably. Like in terms of dramatic role, probably not. They'll probably go towards like maybe Dead Poets or something. But in terms of like what he should be remembered for, or what he, like will always be his comedy, and this I think is prime for sure.
Agreed.
I fucking adore him. I think this movie is goddamn beautiful. But let's get into it. Guys, as always, I haven't set this up into different parts or anything. I've just done this as like a bit copious, but I'll be stopping periodically. Jump in whenever, of course. But we start up with Daniel is a talented unemployed actor and a devoted father, loved by his 3 children, Chris, Lydia, and Natalie. Natalie's Matilda, isn't she? Yeah.
Yes, her name is Mara Wilson.
I love how you know that. However, his marriage to his... Sorry, I wrote this last night. However, his marriage to his workaholic wife Miranda is increasingly strained as the uptight Miranda has grown to dislike her husband's immature and spontaneous behavior. Daniel hires a mobile petting zoo who can afford... It doesn't matter. And throws a large birthday party for his son Chris, despite knowing his wife would not allow it. After receiving a complaint at his business from a neighbor, Miranda decides this is the last straw and demands a divorce. And she said, "If I ever see donkeys, that's a divorce, Daniel." Since Daniel has no steady source of income or home, again, how did he get this fucking petting zoo? Miranda gets primary custody of their children. Daniel has visitation rights limited to Saturday evenings, devastating him as he adores his children. The judge acknowledges this and agrees to consider a joint custody agreement if Daniel can hold down a job and create a suitable home within 3 months. I think this makes sense. Why do they go to court? That's my main thing. Like I was watching this and like they're obviously amicable. They're both normal people. Why did they go to court? They're like,
Harry.
I don't want to nitpick things. Is it
You
an
don't
American
know
thing?
much about the American
Okay.
family court system,
All right.
obviously.
I definitely don't. No.
That's not an insult. I'm just saying.
No, it's very true.
It's a messy thing.
When Daniel learns that Miranda intends to hire a housekeeper and is unwilling to let Daniel take care of the kids, he contacts Miranda by phone pretending to be an old lady. Asked his name, he looks at a newspaper and saw the headline containing the words Doubtfire and says, "Doubtfire, dear."
That's good.
Thank you. Daniel uses his acting talents and enlists the help of his brother Frank, who I adore, a makeup artist, and his partner Jack to transform him into Mrs. Euphigenia Doubtfire.
Euphigenia.
Right? Euphigenia. Thank you. Doubtfire.
Not even going to try.
Yeah, a 60-year-old British nanny, so he himself can apply for the position. Miranda is delighted with Mrs. Doubtfire and hires her on the spot. The two quickly begin to form a friendship, despite the children struggling to adjust to their new caregiver or caretaker. Daniel, as Mrs. Doubtfire, is now able to see his kids every day and uses this opportunity to be the firm father figure he wasn't before. Eventually, the kids begin to respond favorably to Mrs. Doubtfire's methods, and Miranda is able to heal her rocky relationship with them, and with Daniel as well, who begins to improve himself through his alter ego by learning gourmet cooking and refurnishing his apartment. So, fun fact here: according to one biography, Robin Williams decided to test out the believability of his Mrs. Doubtfire character during filming by going as Mrs. Doubtfire to a bookstore and making a purchase. And he was able to do so without being recognized. Another fun fact here, during the scene when Mrs. Selner, which is the court-ordered, what would you call her? Court-ordered, like...
It's like a liaison.
Liaison, yeah. Comes to inspect Daniel's apartment, and Daniel/Mrs. Doubtfire is serving her tea. The icing on his/her face is melting off. This was not intentional. The heat from the set melted the icing off his face, and Robin Williams has had to absolutely improvise the bulk of that scene. That scene's amazing.
Yeah, when she walks out of the room and the lady's like testing it on her face, like, ooh, she's so gullible. It's fantastic.
It's so good. But I'll stop there. What do you guys think of the opening of this film? Anything to add? And yeah, like the introduction of Mrs. Doubtfire. Ash.
Yeah, I love the way this movie starts. I think it's good that you get a little inkling into what he's doing. Also, I love that he's like actually trying to have like a moral stance on the smoking being promoted to kids. Like, I think the reason why he didn't want to work there or do that character is totally valid. But I do think that as I rewatch this movie more, like, I don't feel for Daniel. Like, he needs to grow up. He's obviously like well into his 40s and still kind of acting like a child. So I think there's a lot of justification in Miranda and her frustrations with him, and kind of like this like typical parent thing where you have kind of like good cop, bad cop. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Like, he gets to have all the fun, and like she says in the opening scene, while she always has to clean it up. She works all day, comes home, has to clean up the mess. It's just, I think it sets the tone for the movie really well with this like one specific scene, son's birthday, dad trying to do something, extravagant for him, and mom's kind of like, cool, you didn't tell me. I have to clean up all the mess and deal with all this shit in my house. Which he probably paid for it with their money, which I would assume they share, even though he's obviously not making as much as she probably is. That's just my assumption. But yeah, I think it's...
How much is a petting zoo, though?
I don't know. I mean, it was the 90s. It was probably a lot cheaper than it is now.
Yeah. Still going to be in the thousands.
Yeah. Also love a good San Francisco movie. Always love to rep Northern California.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful city.
But yeah, no, I think this whole thing with like wanting to be with his kids, I do believe that he truly wants to be with his children, and that's why he goes to such lengths to do whatever he can to get there. I will say, my theory is that his intentions of taking the job at first were to get back at her.
Yes.
At Miranda, wholeheartedly. But I love that he learns through like the things you were saying, cooking or, these different things. He almost finds like a purpose.
Yep.
Which I think a lot of people are missing in their lives. They need like a purpose to feel like, you're wanted, or people need you around, or even just for a self purpose, like just for your own, growth as a human. So I love that he like finds a way to use Mrs. Doubtfire to improve himself, even though he's still lying and hurting and deceiving. The intention gets more honest, I guess, as he goes along versus when he first starts it, which I think is important to the story. If he was just doing this to fuck with Miranda, obviously it'd be a totally different movie and it would not be as heartwarming. So, yeah, no, I think it's great. And I don't know if this is the section where his older kids find out. But I love the fact that they find out and they just kind of like keep letting it go. It's just like, okay,
how
we
they
get to
find
use
out
our dad.
so good as well, though.
I wouldn't be able to take it seriously if I
Yeah.
knew.
Also, shout out to Matthew Lawrence.
Yes. Who's he from? What's he from?
He's in him and his brothers have all been acting on like Disney Channel forever, but he's also in Boy Meets World.
That's right. He's in The Hot Chick. That's what I know him from.
Oh yeah, he's the boyfriend in the hot. He's in tons of stuff, but
What a film The
yeah,
Hot
no.
Chick is. Can we have a Rob Schneider month?
No.
Please?
God, no.
Please.
No. I will not. You guys can do that without me.
Oh.
I'm not a fan of Rob Schneider.
all right.
Ash, you could do it.
No. He's problematic. So anyways, that's all I'll say for now. But I just think that these first couple of like scenes and then obviously getting to Mrs. Doubtfire are obviously hilarious, but also very important for kind of like taking the story seriously, I guess. Like there is some like you have to be able to buy into what the payoff is going to be and obviously like how much he loves his kids. So they balance the comedy and the realness of it very well, I feel like. Because if he just made a joke of the situation, it just would not be heartfelt to me. It would just kind of be like a bit cringe.
I think you're entirely correct about the initial intentions because there's the scene where he's like calling her, pretending to be all these different people that are just terrible. So and he changes the number on it just so that she can't get any actual help. So I do think there is like a malicious intent at first. But then it's like turns into like a little opportunity, I think.
Well, and with that, not even just malicious, he's mad at her. That I think is there. But then even to the extent of like why he's being so hard on the kids when he first shows up as Mrs. Doubtfire, I think is so that they'll get so pissed at their mom that they're mad at their mom. He wants them on his side. And so that's where I think it's not even just like to get back at Miranda. It's I'm going to go in there and be a hard ass like old lady so that my kids are mad at their mom and then they want to come back to dad. That's kind of how I take it at least. Which is kind of shitty, you know, it's not great. So I think it's good that he finds a way to have passion for being a better father and showing up. But it's almost like he does that through this character of Mrs. Doubtfire. He can't just do it as Daniel for some reason.
No, wholeheartedly.
Anyways, Byron, sorry. Over to you.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think Ash hit the nail on the head, really. I really liked the opening scene. I actually also thought, because not knowing anything about the movie, I thought I was watching the wrong fucking movie again. For those who don't know, I started watching next week's movie and for almost half an hour.
That's so funny. And
it was already 11:30 at night. So when I found out that I had to not stop watching what I was watching and watch another movie that was still 2 hours long, it's just pretty deflating. But I really like the opening scene. I think it sets up what he can do pretty early on. I think the movie establishes its characters and its relationships really well. I don't think there's actually a bad character in this movie. I think everyone that plays a prominent part does their role really, really well. I think Ash kind of covered everything else, all the middle ground. But I really liked these first couple opening scenes. Thought it was really good.
Oh yeah!
Can you tell I'm passionate about this movie? I've only seen it like.
Yep. I was curious what you gave it, so I do know your rating. So it doesn't surprise me.
That's so funny. Yeah, nice. I wholeheartedly agree. Of course. We continue. For a while, Daniel's able to keep up the charade despite nearly being discovered by his caseworker, Mrs. Selner, and attempting to break up his ex-wife's relationship with Stuart, aka Pierce Brosnan, who is hot as fuck in this. Her new boyfriend, her new boyfriend who dislikes Daniel. Lol. He also realizes he has trapped himself with the Mrs. Doubtfire facade. As he once asks Miranda to take care of the children, she responds that she could never get rid of Mrs. Doubtfire as she's made their lives so much better. Sorry, I wrote that sentence so incorrectly. One thing to touch on here, the new boyfriend Stuart. Is it just me or is Stuart just such a nice guy? Even behind, when he's at the pool. I think I get to the pool in a bit.
No,
you get to the pool, right? And he's talking to his mate, and he's just like, she's great, and I've always wanted to have they need a father figure. And to be honest, I get his criticism on Daniel, and he's just like, the kids are fantastic, and goes, especially the little one, like she's such a sweetie and stuff like that. Like he's actually like a really nice guy. That's at least what I kind of got out of it. And the fact that he includes them all on everything, I thought that was like, I was like, this guy, like, he's like taking her out for like a date, but it's for her birthday, so he's invited out all the family and the nanny as well. I was like, this guy's not that bad. Like, this guy's
No. He's definitely not bad. I mean, I do think that at first I was never sure when he wanted to meet with Miranda what his intentions were. Like before he knows that she's getting a divorce. Also, like it's really fresh, but that happens a lot. People kind of move on quick, especially I feel like once you're established and you're older and you kind of know yourself. But that was my only kind of question mark with him, was just more like, did he have an intention of like kind of flirting with her and like wanting to work with her before he knew she was getting a divorce? But yeah, after that, I mean, he's fine. I don't have any strong opinions about Stu, but yeah, he looks great.
He does. He looks great.
We talked about the dive, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Amen. If you want to add him to the list.
I can do that.
Yeah, if you want to add him to the list. Daniel is discovered when Chris accidentally walks in on him using the bathroom standing up. He then explains to Lydia and Chris that he dresses up as Mrs. Doubtfire only so that he can see them every day. Imagine that conversation. He also warns them not to tell their mother, as he would likely end up in jail and might never see the kids again, or Natalie, as she's too young to understand and might reveal the truth. Both children are happy to have their father back in their lives and agree to keep the secret. Meanwhile, at the TV station where Daniel works as a shipping clerk, the station's CEO, Jonathan Lundy, sees him clowning around with toy dinosaurs on the set of a children's program and is impressed enough to schedule a dinner with him to hear out his ideas. That impressed the CEO enough. Just seeing this guy talking. Stuart plans to celebrate Miranda's birthday by taking the family out to the same restaurant at the same time. As Mrs. Doubtfire is also invited. Daniel tries to postpone his dinner with Lundy, but Lundy is fully booked, and Daniel realizes he cannot cancel the appointment. So before we get into that last part, guys, anything to add here? There isn't too much.
You saved me from the middle. Yeah, I don't actually have that many thoughts here. I actually don't like Daniel.
Really? Like the main character?
Oh, sorry.
Stuart.
Motherfucker.
Stuart.
Yeah. I didn't like him at all. I actually thought when he first came into the movie, A, he annoyed me, and then B, I thought he was just going to turn around and be an absolute cunt.
Yes. Asshole.
Yeah. What a save. Legendary save. I thought he was just going to turn into like, I don't know. I don't want to say villain.
That's what I'm saying.
Not what this movie is, but like
I agree.
Villainous kind of role. Like
he could have literally come back and they could have, and it wouldn't have been a bad point of the movie. It would have been predictable. But like when he's talking to that mate at the pool, he's just like, oh no, she's just got a huge inheritance or something like that. Yeah, and he's just trying to get a part of it. And that's like why he's being such a immediate attachment to this family. But yeah, so he could. I had the same thought when I first saw this movie. I'm like, this guy seems shady, but by the end of it, like this guy just wants to have family. Like,
what did he say? He said he's pushing on 40.
Yeah,
he didn't know how much time he had.
Hey, if I look like that at 40, holy smokes, I'm okay.
That was one thing I was gonna add. My mother is 62, okay? If Mrs. Doubtfire is supposed to be 60, then dang. My mom looks like she's 30 at 60, if that's the case.
My mother is...
Good on Mama Ash.
50... I don't know.
They're stretching pretty far is my point with Mrs. Doubtfire being 60. But I don't know, I feel like over time, I guess, like people are aging a little bit differently, but... Yeah, definitely not very believable. I would say she's looking a little closer to like 70, 75. But she's a hip, cool granny. So, you know.
Age is a weird thing. Age is a very weird thing. I don't think I've aged in the last 7 years.
Well, you're barely an adult, Byron. So. Anyway, sorry. This section, I don't have much else to say about Stu. I mean, to me, like, he's not really there to be anything but a reason for Daniel to have like more and more like flustered kind of
Emotions.
occurrences as he's going through this Mrs. Doubtfire journey. Like every time he gets around Stu and sees Stu with his family, it just kind of gets him even more like worked up and kind of irrational. So I think it kind of just serves as like a catalyst for that. But I would say Daniel's the real villain of this movie if you're picking up the villain.
Absolutely.
Which is very obvious. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like one part of me is like, oh, good, he's trying to like be around his kids, but then you're putting your kids through the trauma of them only getting to hang out with you when you're dressed up as an old like British lady who's cleaning the house. Like I don't know. Like, and how can he really be around them authentically if Natalie doesn't know? He can't just like talk in his regular voice or, you know, do what he wants to do with his kids because she still doesn't know. So it's kind of traumatic for the older two, like just to kind of go along with this. But I think they're so desperate to spend time with him, obviously, that they will. But yeah, the whole like motivation, you kind of question it throughout the whole thing. Like I think Daniel could have come clean when his kids found out and like tried to do something. But I think it ends up working out that he has to completely fall during the next section of the movie. To really learn the true lesson.
The city has to burn.
I will praise the throw real quick.
The throw.
When he threw the lime, good throw.
Oh, yeah. Fucking, yeah.
That whole pool scene is so funny to me. There's so many great one-liners there. And like when he's at the bar.
Just like smashing a beer.
Oh,
well, and just like, what are you looking at? Like in his normal voice with the granny outfit on, like creeping on the girl in the bikini with the granny outfit on. Come on.
We were saying this before we started recording. Like the funniest parts is like the seconds that he breaks the Doubtfire character, where it's just like, oh, what are you looking at? Like, or like the funniest, one of the funniest scenes is when someone tries to steal his purse.
Yes.
And he's straight like, get off me! He starts like beating the shit out of this guy.
It reminds me of White Chicks in that way, where it's just like you forget that you're in a character and you just go to your default.
Yeah.
I also like the scene when Mrs. Doubtfire is meeting the children for the first time, and then the son's like, "You're huge."
Yeah.
Like a linebacker.
That is so fucked up to say to a woman.
It does have broad shoulders. But I reckon back in the day that Robin Williams just looks like he has that form that he could bench a lot. Like, I reckon he is just a fit guy. Yeah, especially, like, this sounds weird, but especially him in Good Will Hunting. He has if you just watch Good Will Hunting, look at his forearms. His forearms are monstrous. Like I reckon he's a big boy.
Actually, here before you move on to the next section, is this the section too where he had Miranda and Mrs. Doubtfire have the conversation in the kitchen where like they actually get like deep for a little bit, and it's almost like the things she never said to Daniel, like as him, and he's hearing it for the first time. So I think that's a really important scene.
I don't think I've got that scene down, but we can talk about that.
Sorry.
Now. No. Like because I'm about to go into like the restaurant, which
I think we're past it.
I think we're past it because it happened way before the birthday.
But we can mention it for sure. Like I agree, like that in itself is like her breaking down the walls without saying it directly to Daniel, which is great. And then like Daniel kind of saying it back to her through Doubtfire, which I think is like a really cool way to use this character.
Because he can't just be serious as him. That's the whole thing, is he can't be serious. And this character, which is so unserious to be dressed up as, is the only time he can be real with her. But I also think it's when her guard's down. She can't be that way with him when it's her husband who she's been, dealing with for 15 years. So it's interesting for both characters' point of view. But I thought that scene was really emotional and like really important. And the more I watch it, I'm always just like, man, that's brutal.
Yeah, it is. It's man. I love the little scenes here and there of Doubtfire giving her dating advice. Of like, oh, which dress should I try? He goes, none of them, darling. You look like a harlot. like it's so.
The voice scares me sometimes. I'll be honest.
Oh, when she asked about like how long did you wait after Winston, and she's never. Celibacy for life.
Yeah. Really? Yes, darling. I love. Yeah, it's brilliant. Anyway. At the restaurant, Daniel attempts to rotate back and forth between Lundy and his family, using the restroom to change back and forth from himself to Mrs. Doubtfire. Daniel dumps cayenne pepper into Stuart's order of jambalaya. He's like, spicy jambalaya! An ingredient that he's apparently allergic to. He also becomes increasingly intoxicated throughout the evening and forgets to remove his costume before returning to Lundy's table. He covers for the mistake by explaining to Lundy that his alter ego is merely his idea for a new TV persona. Lundy, once again, is impressed and agrees to develop the character into a possible television show. Gotta tell you, balls on this kid, unreal. At that moment, Daniel notices Stuart is choking on the pepper, and out of regret, I love this. Notices he's choking, goes, "Oh damn, I killed the man."
Realize how serious it got.
And out of regret, administers the Heimlich remover. But you also get that classic meme scene of, "Don't worry, laddie, help is on the way, dear." Yeah, so good. However, his mask tears off, revealing his true identity. Horrified and outraged at who her housekeeper really is, Miranda storms out with her children. At the later court hearing, Daniel makes a plea to the judge, saying that he created the disguise merely to spend time with his beloved children, but the judge gives Miranda full custody of the children, while limiting Daniel to supervised visitation rights once a week, as he finds his behavior disturbing. Without Mrs. Doubtfire, the children once again are withdrawn and depressed, and Miranda admits that their lives were so much better with her. However, they are surprised and delighted to see Mrs. Doubtfire as the star of Lundy's new television show, Euphegina's, how do you say?
Euphegenia.
Euphegenia's house is the name. Euphegenia's house.
I think Effie. I think it's Effie is like the short name, like EFFY is like the nickname.
Euphegenia, dear. It quickly becomes one of the highest rating programs in its time slot, creating the possibility that the show will be aired nationwide. Upon realizing how unhappy the children are and how she herself is, without Mrs. Doubtfire, Miranda pays Daniel a visit on set and tells him that she doesn't want to keep hurting the children over the custody issues, and that she knows that the children were much happier with Mrs. Doubtfire and therefore their father in their lives. She forgives his deceit and sorts things out with the court, allowing Daniel unlimited access to the children, and the two make up. Daniel picks the kids up to spend an afternoon with them, while Miranda watches an episode of Daniel's show in which Mrs. Doubtfire answers a letter from another child of divorce asking for advice. She explains that no matter what type of living arrangement such children may have, love will remain the bond of the family. That's Mrs. Doubtfire. What a film. Fun fact here, according to director Christopher Columbus, Robin Williams improvised so much that there were PG, PG-13, and R-rated edits of the film. Though
Love to see the rated R version.
Same, but they always intended to release it as PG-13.
Imagine. What the fuck are you looking at?
Exactly. But that is Mrs. Doubtfire. So, Byron, give me any final thoughts on those last couple of scenes, if you have any, and your final little wrap-up and your score, please.
Yeah, I really liked these last couple of scenes. I'm glad. It's gonna sound weird. I'm glad he lost like everything before, because it makes the ending itself like that more wholesome and just a good ending. So I'm glad he finally got caught, and everyone was pissed at him and disappointed in him. Because I think it made the ending just that much better. I don't have too many thoughts, but yeah, I really liked the last couple scenes. I think it wrapped up perfectly. I think the story was, there's sometimes in movies there's plots and certain angles between characters that don't get finished. I think this movie wraps pretty much everything up perfectly. Are there sequels to this movie?
No,
they didn't know.
One and done. Thank God, because they could have made this a franchise and driven this into the ground.
I was so scared you were going to be like, yeah, there's two more.
Yeah, and we're doing them both.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked the last couple of scenes. I like this movie as a whole. Upon watching it, my rating was between a 3 and a 3.5. The best thing about doing these podcast episodes is talking about it for an hour or so actually affects my rating. So I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Nice.
A pretty good 3.5. Will I watch it again? Who knows? Maybe one day. But yeah, I like the movie. It's pretty good. Better than I expected.
Nice. Ash.
Yeah, and just like to comment on what you're saying, this is most definitely a movie that I feel like you don't watch for the first time, like in your young adulthood, and then go new comfort movie. Like I feel like it is one that if you didn't like grow up with it, I can imagine people not getting as attached to it. So that's totally fair. But yeah, no, for me, this has just always been one of those movies. It's just always going to be in my rotation and a comfort film. I think that this last chunk is so heartbreaking and so funny. It's some of the funniest lines in the movie. The whole time, the whole time.
The
She's
whole
just like
time.
that whole line delivery is iconic. The reveal, just the looks on their faces, and obviously that like final scene in the court. I still want to feel bad for Daniel, but I think he did this all himself.
He
He spent
did. He
Yep.
his whole
did.
marriage being the funny comedian guy who didn't want to take anything too seriously. It didn't work out for him. She finally got sick of it, and he had to learn. Like he kind of had to hit rock bottom, like Byron was saying, and he did, and it ended up working out. He got a whole new career, like
Yeah.
TV show out of it, his kids in his life, like everything kind of worked out for
He
him.
turned into a
Um,
TV star. Like he's gonna
yeah,
get super rich.
yeah, his life is going to be just fine. And I think that this movie really does show that sometimes parents are better off in separate homes. And as someone whose parents are divorced, like sometimes people are better not together, and that's
Amen.
better for their family and for themselves, and they can be the best versions of themselves. So yeah, outside of all like the funny comedy, there really is like a heartfelt family story here that is so relatable
Mm.
for so many people who have different types of broken homes. So yeah, I love it. I think all the kid actors even do a great job. I think even like Lydia, like she has some moments where she's, you know, really trying to like lay into both of her parents. Like she's like the oldest sister, really trying to like hold it together for the other siblings. And yeah, there's a lot of great moments for everyone involved. And just yeah, like how can you have a movie that literally has a guy giving an impression of a hot dog and not think it's funny? Like it's just
Fuck yeah.
funny. This
That's
is Robin
probably the
Williams.
funniest thing in this entire movie.
Yeah, like his impressions, his improv, like he's just kind of unlike anybody else. So I'll always treasure this movie. 4.5 for me. Not sure why it's not a 5. Honest, I'm kind of surprised it's not, but it just doesn't feel like a 5 for me. So I just can't do it. But I love it. I adore it.
Nice. Yeah, I echo. I'm way more on Ash's side, but I also agree with Ash that like if you didn't grow up with this, you wouldn't have the connection just
Yeah.
can't be formed.
Yeah, for sure.
This is a 4.5 for me as well. I think this movie is it's one of those movies that instantly makes you feel happy. And I think that Robin Williams is truly, truly a treasure that will always be missed, and those are shoes that just never will be filled. So whenever people talk about like, oh, you know how friendship groups always like who's the funniest actor of all time, people always put in like Carey, Sandler, Ben Stiller, like Will Ferrell, and I'm like, they're funny, they're all great. No one comes close to Robin Williams for me.
None of those.
No one touches the fucking king, which is Robin Williams. Other than Notorious in New Zealand, Notorious is pretty funny.
Obviously.
But like, I still remember the day that where I was when I found out that Robin Williams died. Like that was the death of
When
the
was
celebrity death. That was like 2013, or 2013, 2014.
Yeah,
I remember I
wasn't even in high school yet.
I was in university and I was going to a film class where we were learning about Iranian cinema. And that's when I found out that Robin Williams died. It's crazy. I remember like exactly where I was. That's how much.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was
Rest
crazy.
in peace.
Started high school yet.
He truly was
Crazy.
like one of a kind. He's like one of the best improv actors of all time, and it's just a truly devastating loss that Hollywood had when he passed. And I hope he rests in peace. But I think this movie's spectacular. I give it 4.5. I just think it's so fucking good. So next week, please watch, and Byron, please watch the last hour of Uptown Girls.
Yeah, I'm fucking still pissed, man.
Uptown Girls, we'll have that next week, which will be good fun. It's a movie I've never watched. I thought I had, and then
excited.
I think I was like looking at another movie, so I'm very keen to watch it. Yeah, I love Brittany Murphy, which would be really cool. But until then, we're going into our collaborative draft. So Ash, do you want to? You're kind of like the captain of this collaborative draft. We're doing one for all of Robin Williams movies.
Yeah, we're gonna do all 70.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was something we get the idea from the Movie Draft podcast. They
Love
do
them.
these. Yeah, shout them out. But yeah, we're doing it with 3 of us instead of 2. So in this case, I just decided on 10 because I know
Cool.
I haven't even seen that much of his filmography. There's so much, and I know Byron also hasn't, so I didn't want us to have too many. So we're doing 10.
Yeah.
So in the way it works, Byron, since you weren't here last time we did one, it's not saying that number 10 is his worst movie. Like this is literally just a collaborative list of like if we
Right.
had to make a top 10 list like ourselves, what would that look like? But we're doing it collaboratively. So the thing that kind of gets
Okay.
weird is that like the movie you might put at 1 could end up at 4, depending on
Right.
which
Other
numbers
people's
you have.
opinions. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I already went ahead and did all the like drafter positions just to make it easier. So there's 3 spot drafter A, B, and C, obviously. And there's 10 spots. So drafter C always gets 1 more pick. So I'm drafter C. I'll get pick 10, 9, 6, and 3. Drafter B is Byron. You get pick 8, 5, and 2. So you only gotta pick 3 movies. I think you can handle that.
I can manage. I can manage.
And then Harry gets 7, 4, and 1.
Yes.
So you'll get that top spot.
Yes.
I have a veto. So what that means is we can all veto, basically. We all have at least 1 veto. And so if you don't like, someone puts like Aladdin at 10 and you're just like, absolutely not, no, you can veto it. So you have 2 of those, Harry, and Byron and I each have 1.
Good. That's how it
But
should be.
I have a veto override. So that means that if someone vetoes something, I can say, nope, it's staying. And I can override it 1 time.
One time.
I don't think we're going to have a lot of arguments here, but that's basically the rules.
Not for me. I'm not going to argue anything.
So the thing that Harry and I learned last time is that when you're picking from so many movies, something can get missed.
Yes.
So
Right.
What did we miss last time? Was it 10 Things I Hate About You?
So many. Like we didn't get 10 Things I Hate About You into the draft at all.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then we missed a couple other ones. We missed like Vertigo.
It's bad for you
Ruinando.
guys because you guys love that movie.
Movie's spectacular. Yeah.
But yeah. So there is the risk of that.
I've written out I see. I prepped a bit more this week, where I've written out like a whole list, but then I've written out specifically 10 that should be in there.
Yes.
So then if one's picked outside of that, like if someone, Byron, if you say Night at the Museum, I'm vetoing the shit out of that.
Dude, those 2 movies are like 2 of the 7.
That's the thing is, when we decided to do this, I don't really know what your guys' filmography for Robin Williams looks like. I know that I have a lot of his like top ones people love that I haven't seen, but that doesn't mean it can't be on the list. Like if you've seen it, Harry, you can put it if it's in your position. So
can you just read out who picks which order again? Sorry.
Yes. So I'm gonna go first because I'm a drafter C. I'm picking movie in spot number 10 and 9.
9. Yeah.
And then 6 and 3. And then Byron will be drafter B. He'll pick 8, 5, and 2. And you will pick 7, 4, and 1.
8, 5, and 2 for Byron.
Yep.
Cool. And then the rest of me.
Yeah, so I'll start us off with 9 and 10.
7, 4, 1, right? That's what you said for me?
Yeah.
Cool. Sorry, continue. I'm with you.
No, you're good. So for 10...
Veto. Sorry. Vetoed. Vetoed. No, I'm joking. Continue. Sorry.
So for 10, I'm actually putting up a movie. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie. I actually liked it a lot when I was younger. August Rush.
That's not even on my list.
I don't even know what that is.
Well,
August Rush.
All right, I think it's a good movie. I think it's like a really solid, like 3.5. Like it's just like it's a good movie. Kerry Russell's in it. Robin Williams is in it. I think it's great. It's kind of a music movie, so maybe that's why I like it so much. But
I'm gonna allow you to have that one.
Okay.
Because there's a couple on my top 10 that I'm okay with not being.
I don't
You
feel
might veto
safe
this one.
vetoing a movie that I have no idea what it is. So
I'll be honest.
I'll take your word
I
for
did
it.
mine based on like my overall like opinions and feeling on the movie as a whole.
Yeah.
We're not ranking Robin Williams' performances.
No. Of course.
Yeah.
So, okay, for 9, I'm just gonna put up this one because I know that Harry's gonna veto it if I take this. I'm gonna put up Good Morning Vietnam.
I'm okay with that at 9.
Also haven't seen it.
I thought you were going to do another 3-word movie of his, and I was about to veto the fuck out of you. So I'm okay with that.
Okay, so those are my first 2 picks. We're doing
Good Morning Vietnam is on my that needed to be on the top 10. So
yeah. Okay, so Byron, you can put up
And number 8. So I'm looking at a movie that's like middle ground because
think of
hard.
like 3.5s, 4s.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go. I want this movie on my list because it's a me pick. I'm gonna go Insomnia.
Okay.
Christopher Nolan's Insomnia.
I'm good with that.
That movie is so underrated.
Okay.
I think it was Nolan's second movie.
Yeah, it was early.
I got
Okay.
Robin Williams and
Insomnia.
Al Pacino in the second movie.
I like
Yeah.
that.
It's insane.
I like that
Yeah.
pick.
I was
okay.
like basically in the same position on my personal list.
It's a 3.5 for me.
Yeah.
I like that movie.
I'm gonna pick. I love this movie. I'm gonna pick The Birdcage for number
That's
7.
the one I haven't seen, and I've heard good things about it.
Okay, I'm picking The Birdcage.
I'll have to watch it. It's like a 3.9 on Letterboxd, so I was kind of surprised. It's pretty high.
It's really good. Nathan
It
Lane's
is pretty
amazing
high.
in it. Nathan Lane's so damn good in it.
Nice.
Any movie
Okay.
over 3.8 is good.
And that's back to me. All right.
Back to you.
I already forgot my
I
numbers.
think I'm going to put up one that was a little lower than a few of these for me, but I'm happy with it here. It's kind of an iconic one. I'll put up Flubber.
I didn't even have that on my list. I'm okay with
What?
that. No. Like I should have had that on my list. I'm okay with that to be.
I
Also
wouldn't have
the
put
same.
it at 6, but it has to be here, and that's just kind of where my turn ended up. So
Oh shit! Who's gonna lose out?
What were my numbers again? 8.
I mean, you have vetoes if you want to
Yeah,
veto. it.
no. That Flubber needs to be. Sorry, one of Byron's ones definitely. One of the ones that Byron's seen, I'm definitely gonna veto it if you say it now.
Now we're in that
Close to
top
winning now.
5. So Byron, what's number 5?
There's a clear 5 now for me. If I'm being honest, there's clear 5 that need to be in there. Oh wait, I haven't even included Doubtfire in this. Shit.
So,
I feel like we already messed
is,
up because there's 6 that I want on this list. Wait,
There's 6 now.
did I just mess up by putting up Flubber?
Can I? Oh shit! I should have.
There's
I
not-
should have vetoed August Rush.
So the movies that are left that I have are either like 2.5s or 4.5s. There's one 4.5 and one 5.
Well, don't put up
So-
a 2.5 at spot 5.
No,
so.
I will not. That's why I'm in a
I
bit
should
of a
have put
pickle.
Good Morning Vietnam at 10 and just
So-
started there.
I feel like I'm only down to 2, and one of them was the movie we literally just talked about.
I'm okay with you putting Doubtfire at 5.
You're
Same.
okay with that?
I'm okay
I
with
will
that.
go
Yeah, I am
Miss
too.
Doubtfire at number 5.
Okay, cool.
I can't believe one of these is going to get left off.
This
Any
is
guesses
fun.
on what the other one is? So I don't think either of you are going to say it.
Is it of
It's
that's
fantasy.
fantasy? Yes. Which is
Yeah.
what I was going to pick, but now, man, this sucks. We fucked up. We fucked up.
See, I wasn't accounting for the Birdcage, and I shouldn't have picked August Rush.
I
That was
shouldn't have.
bad.
I shouldn't have picked Birdcage. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is
Happy feet. Happy feet. Happy
All right,
feet.
Harry.
happy feet. It's not getting picked, buddy.
Can't
Sorry,
believe we're
dude.
gonna miss out on.
We're gonna miss out on one of them. All right. There's 2 children's movies that we're having to miss out on one
Yep.
of them. Okay.
Okay.
But the one that I had more allegiance with is Jumanji. So I'm picking Jumanji for number 4.
I haven't seen the original Jumanji.
That's wild that you've seen the Rock one.
Yeah, this shit.
It's so good. It's so good. God, that sucks.
Yeah.
1995.
Now I have the difficult job of deciding between
No.
2
Like,
movies.
Well,
you know who.
I
you know now
my
what
pick
has to
is.
mix.
I know what my number 2 pick is.
You know now
For
what
sure.
what you have to let go of.
If you,
If we pick Jumanji, we had to let go of the other one. We have to.
I don't know what you pick for 3. I think we're all in agreement what the top 2 are.
Yes.
Depends on what order those.
The
top 2
third
are.
is the third has to be a kids film,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
you're between
that's-
you're between 2 and
Here's the
1.
thing.
Yes.
Here's the thing.
Give it to me.
Aladdin is a better made movie.
Correct.
It is. It just is. But fucking Hook is not going to be on this list. Is that a joke? That was my childhood.
I know.
Why did I pick August Rush? I should have picked Hook. Okay. I'm going to pick Aladdin.
Correct.
Yeah.
We never use our vetoes. We're so boring when it comes to
Number.
Oh, I'm telling you,
I mean,
if you picked Hook, I was going to veto you.
I'm not going to veto movies I haven't seen. It just seems very
Well, yeah,
unfair
that
on
makes
my
sense.
half. On my behalf.
I,
So blame Harry.
If you picked Hook, I would have vetoed you because I'm like that's.
I know.
yeah.
That's why I'm talking it out. I think
So
the reason why the movie draft podcast uses the vetoes more is because they usually like watch a bunch of movies to prep for the, we're just doing it
Yeah.
as like a fun thing. So I'm not surprised we don't use them.
No, I've known about this draft for maybe coming up on 2 hours.
Well, you're lucky we gave you that
Um,
much notice.
Yes.
I shouldn't have picked August Rush.
So-
That was stupid.
Number 2, and I'm kind of just gonna force you. I'm pretty much forcing you to pick what number one is, because I don't think there's any debate on what like. So personally, number 2 goes to Dead Poets Society.
Nice.
That
means number 1
correct?
Goes to Robots.
Happy Feet.
Yes, robot.
No, number 1 will be Good Will Hunting. I think we all know that.
Yeah. So that was what I wanted at number 1.
To be honest, Ash, we missed out on Hook. We understand that. We'll own that. We missed out on Hook. That is way, way better than missing out on 10 Things I Hate About You.
Of course it's better.
Yeah. So we're getting better at this. That's all I'm saying.
We are.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I think it's a little easier with only doing 10, and also like we haven't seen a lot of his movies, whereas before we did like from like 40 movies and we had seen them all, so it's a little harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You can go honorable mention Hook.
Yeah.
That's my only miss here, but let's just recap. We got.
I can't believe I missed Flubber. Otherwise, I would have vetoed the fuck out of August Rush, and I wouldn't have gone Birdcage.
I should have just put Flubber at 10, honestly, and then I think Hook would have been on the list. But you don't know what I didn't know what Byron had seen. I didn't know what he was gonna pick. So
I thought Byron was gonna come out with fucking Battle of the Smithsonian or some shit.
I don't know what that is either.
The Night Museum.
Let's think the second or third one. But anyway, so number 10 is August Rush. Good movie though. You guys should watch it.
Okay. I will.
9, Good Morning Vietnam. 8, Insomnia. 7, The Birdcage. 6, Flubber. 5, Mrs. Doubtfire. 4, Jumanji. 3, Aladdin. 2, Dead Poet Society. And 1, Good Will Hunting.
That's the correct 2.
Yeah.
It's like 1000%. If anyone on like Earth realistically disagrees with like the top 2, it's kind of crazy. Kind of a crazy take. I think we did good.
Nice.
You did good.
Awesome. Well, that is the end of another episode of the Love, Death, Movies podcast. Remember, next week, please watch Uptown Girls. We've put the post up on Instagram, so that's our next 2 films. This is Uptown Girls and then Uncle Buck, and then we go into December, which is going to be a fun month. We'll say when we get to it, but we're very keen for December. We should start looking at what we're going to do next year now. We're at that point where we should start doing the programming, which will be good fun. I love those days. But until then, I'm Harry, that's Ash, that's Byron. Love, Death, Movies. We'll see you in the movies.